and no one knew really what was in that book. And I go back as far as it's possible to go back. During World War II, the General Electric Company decided to have a radio program every Saturday night, a full hour, where they would pull the nation together. I had a cousin on the West Coast in San Francisco who was the lead trumpet player for the Paul Whiteman Orchestra. I'd heard some snippets of his recordings, and you know, up to that time, really music was featured by violins or a piano, occasionally a harpsichord, and once in a while a celeste. No one ever heard of trumpet playing. And I was just a kid. I walked by a pawn shop one day. I saw a horn in that pawn shop, and I went in, and through the case that was before me, I bought that $8 trumpet. But I was raised in an absentee father home, and we were the people that invented poverty. I've told my family, I said I wore patent leather shoes, leather on top, and my feet were patent the sidewalk below. And we had no money for lessons. So I had my sister sit down on the edge of the bed, and I said, now I'll play this note, you sing it for me, and I'll write down the fingering. And I wrote down the C scale with her singing note after note after note. We couldn't afford any lessons. So I prayed. I said, Lord, I need your help. You need to teach me what this instrument is. And I want to learn to play it like no one has ever played a trumpet in history. And I prayed that God would give me a Gabrielian tone. Little by little, it happened over and over again. This General Electric Hour invited me to be on their program one night, way, way back before all of you or any of you were born. The director of music of that program was a man by the name of Hank Ginsberg. Hank called me into his office and he said, Eddie, he said, I'd like to have you do a trumpet solo. We've never had a trumpet solo on this program, and I'd like to have you do a trumpet solo for us. And I have the number that I'd like to have you do. It's an Irish song that we haven't heard for a long time. So he brought out this song called Londonderry Air. And that night, as I stood on the platform of Kneller Hall, and the lights came on, spotlighted me in the center stage, and that 70-piece orchestra started playing that gorgeous background. And I started in on the melody, la 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 la, la 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 la. No one had ever heard a trumpet play with vibrato before. And it took the crowd by surprise, because in that audience was a young man by the name of Bobby Farnan. Bobby came to me after the program and he said, Eddie, would you mind if I took this style to my music class in London? He did. And he taught a young trumpeter in London by the name of Eddie Calvert. And Eddie Calvert took this same song and recorded it and made it a blockbuster recording that has gone from year to year, year to year. It came over back into the United States, and a young evangelist, a woman, heard this, and she said, I'm going to write words, gospel words to this. So she sat down and wrote one verse and chorus to this melody called Londonderry Air. She recorded it, and it has sold hundreds and hundreds of copies, but only one verse and one chorus. I introduced this to our men, and I said, we'd like to do this. And our resident poet laureate, Bill Malchow, said, I'll write a second verse and a second chorus. And now we have 2 verses and 2 choruses, and we've practiced this, and it's called, He Looked Beyond My Fault and Saw My Need. And I'd like to this morning dedicate this song to the ladies of our church, especially ladies that are suffering in their bodies, Robin Nelson, Debbie Thompson. And not with us this morning because she's ill, Julie Story, and others of you. I want you to know that God looks beyond your cancer. God looks beyond your radiation. God looks beyond the chemotherapy. I know I'm an object of where He looked. I'm a concrete example of God looking beyond a heart attack, of looking beyond these things. I'm 87 years old and I'm standing with young men ready to sing. It's never would take place, but God looks beyond our fault and sees our need. Whatever you need, God's looking beyond it today, and He is going to take care of it. Here's our quintet, our soloist Bill Melchow. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need.
Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that bought my liberty. I do not know just why He came to love me so. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary, to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous the grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. When I was lost, He found me in my brokenness. For every soul our Savior God did bleed. Through grace and love, I know His sweet forgiveness. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. And I shall sing His praises forever, with loving kindness from my sins I'm free. For saw my need. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous the grace that taught my falling soul. He looked beyond my fault and saw my need. How marvelous the grace that caught my falling soul. He looked beyond. He looked beyond.